When I'm having a difficult time in my life in one area or another, all I have to really do is look back 60 to 90 days, and it's the behaviors I had 60 to 90 days ago that are causing the results I get negatively right now. When I'm not really progressing in my career or in my financial situation, if I look back 60 to 90 days prior, I stopped reading the books, listening to the audios, doing the things that grow my identity, and I pay the price 60 to 90 days later. This is true in every area of our life. Our lives are almost like reading a newspaper today, but we're reading the headlines from 90 days ago. If you've got your business going, your finances going, your relationship going, your faith going where you want it to, you have to continue to do the activities that got you here in the first place, because 90 days from now, you're going to read today's news. Make sure that you continue to do the right things. The winners keep making the deposits, keep making the investments, because they know for a fact eventually there's a withdrawal. Don't be confused by your current conditions. Your current conditions, your current life does not dictate your future. Your past does not equal your future. Your present does not equal your future. What equals your future are those deposits and those investments you're making now. There will be an echo. There'll be a harvest. All of our actions echo into eternity. Long after we're gone, our lives also have an echo. The question is, will that echo for you be a whisper or a roar? And you get to decide based on the actions you take every day in your life, whether the life of you, whether it had a big meaning and it roars into eternity, or whether you play small and you just whisper into eternity. You get to choose that. I know you were born to have a roaring echo in this world long after you're here. The investments you make in your children and grandchildren, into other people, that's part of the roar of your life. Maybe it's not a jet or a beach house, but it's the good things you do. It's the seeds you sow of goodness and the contributions you make for others that ripple into other people over and over again, far beyond what you can even imagine. That's your legacy. That's your life roaring its echo into eternity.
Hey, it's EDMYLET. I just wanted to thank you for being here, and I would ask you to please subscribe to the show. If you just click the subscribe button here, I would really appreciate it. It helps the show grow so we can get even more successful guests on the program to help you. At the same time, if you're subscribed, you're going to get access to the programs before anybody else in the world gets access to them. So if you would, click subscribe right here. Thanks so much.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm EDMYLET. Today we're going to talk about the echo of life, or the echoes in life. And what I mean by that is, you know that when you hear an echo, you've said something, but there's a delayed response until you hear it coming back at you, and then you experience the result. And that's how life works. See, today, one of the reasons so many people are confused about their lack of success is because we live in a very immediate gratification type society, meaning people expect results to happen instantaneously because we can get access to information instantaneously. We can get on social media, we can get music, we can get a movie, we can get a Google search, we can get a book, we can get anything we want instantaneously. But what you can't get instantaneously is success in life. And we've been raised in a generation now, many of us, even older guys like me, we're programmed to get things right now. And this hurts us in life because we don't realize the echoes of life. See, for me, for example, when I'm having a difficult time in my life in one area or another, all I have to really do is look back 60 to 90 days, and it's the behaviors I had 60 to 90 days ago that are causing the results I get negatively right now. And so, like, for example, when I'm not really, progressing in my career or in my financial situation, if I look back 60 to 90 days prior, I stopped reading the books, listening to the audios, doing the things that grow my identity, and I pay the price 60 to 90 days later. In my body isn't looking like I want it to. If I look back 60 to 90, 120 days, that's when my diet got weaker. That's when my workouts weren't quite as intense as they were previously, and I pay the price 3 to 4 months later. This is true in every area of our life. Our lives are almost like reading a newspaper today, but we're reading the headlines from 90 days ago. And so that's what confuses people. They see the external results of their life, but if you read the newspaper from 90 to 120 days ago, that's where the news was made, not today. And so in every area of your life, you got it going right now. You got to fuel the fire. If you've got your business going, your finances going, your relationship going, your faith going where you want it to, you have to continue to do the activities that got you here in the first place, because 90 days from now, you're going to read today's news. That's how it works. If today's news is you stop telling the person you're with you're loving them, if you stop dating them like you did in the beginning, you stop treating them a particular way, you're going to pay the price for it in 90 to 120 days. When you eat a piece of cake, you don't see the fat deposit the next day. There's a delay. And so what happens is we do these negative behaviors, and because we don't see an instant pain or an instant consequence for it, we don't think the consequence is coming, but the consequences always come. There's a delayed consequence for everything we do. And so today, you're getting the external results of 90 days ago's headlines of what you were doing. And the mistake most people make is they get things going in their life, they get their business going, and they stop the very things that got them there because they believe today is the headlines. But you're gonna read it in 90 to 120 days, you're gonna pay the price. And so in every area, pour the flames on, pour the fuel on, do the things that got you there, but do more of it because there's an echo for today's behavior. The reverse is also true, and this is why most people give up on their dreams. Success, the echo is longer. In success, see, the negative comes 90 to 120 days, but the benefit, the gain, the increase, the result of doing the right things is often delayed by 6 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years, sometimes 5 years. And so what happens is most people make these investments, they do all of the work. It's almost like a bank account. They make the deposit, they make the deposit, they make the deposit, and then they quit before they get to make the withdrawal because they don't see the results. In success, remember this, you're making these deposits, you're doing all the right things. It's not 90 days later you get the result often. Sometimes it's not 120, sometimes it's not 6 months, sometimes it's not a year, sometimes it's 2 years, and most people can't wait to make the withdrawal because they don't see the immediate result, or they go, well, wait a minute. When I do things wrong, I pay the price in 90 days. If I eat poorly, 90 days later, my body doesn't look good. If I don't perform right in my business goes down 90 to 120 days later. If I don't read my personal development or listen to the podcast I'm supposed to, my identity shrinks 90 to 120 days. How come when I do the good things, the results don't come in 90 to 120 days? Sometimes they will, but oftentimes the delayed gratification, the delayed benefit is way off into the future. The people that win in life accept both echoes. I accept in my life, I know it's a law of the universe, I know it's a life law, that if I don't do the right things, 90 to 120 days, I'm gonna pay the price. I also know the other law is, if I'm doing the right things, the benefit, the body changing, the finances changing, the life changing, the relationship changing, might be delayed by 6 months, not 90 days, might be a year, might be 2, might be 5 years in some areas, but I accept that there's always a payoff. Remember this, there's always an echo. There's always a consequence. If you do the wrong things, no matter how good your business is right now, listen to me. You think you got it going and you're sloughing off a little bit. You're not quite in the office as early as you used to be. You're not making quite as many contacts as you once were. You're not quite as focused as you once were because you think you got it because you're reading 3 months ago's headlines or 6 months ago's headlines. But I promise you, 90 to 120 days from now, you're gonna read today's headlines. Make sure that you continue to do the right things. I've also, though, come to believe and know in my own life, because my life is evidence of it, that there's an echo for the positives too. I don't know when that one's coming back, but I know it comes back. I know for a fact that if I do the right things in my diet and my nutrition, my body and my workouts, my body eventually gives me the result. I know in my finances, if I do the right things, eventually there's an echo that comes back. I'll eventually read today's headlines of my life and celebrate them. I know in my relationships, if I invest and do the right things, the loving, the caring, the believing, the actions required, that at some point there's an echo that comes back and that relationship blossoms and flourishes. I know it in my identity, I know it in my self-confidence. If I do the right things, the echo comes back eventually. The thing to accept is it's going to come back. And if you know this, you begin to win. If you know this, you don't look at today's life and believe you've got it wired. You don't look at today's life and believe you're relegated to these results forever. You know there's a negative, which is 90 to 120 days, and you know that there's a positive, which that echo comes back longer. And the winners keep making the deposits, keep making the investments, because they know for a fact, that eventually there's a withdrawal. One of my favorite parables in the Bible, and I'll probably mess this up because I do that all the time, but I mean this with the right intention, is the parable of the sower, which basically says that if you keep planting seeds, that eventually God will provide a harvest. I've begun to know that that's one of the laws of life, one of the echoes of life, is that there's a harvest, but those seeds that you're planting, or those phone calls, that diet, that workout, those things you do in your relationship, the investments you make in yourself and your identity, that if you keep planting those seeds, i.e. making those deposits, those investments, that eventually God will provide a harvest in your life. But not all the seeds reap a harvest. Sometimes you're going to plant seeds that don't have great soil, or there's thorny soil and the seeds don't grow. The wind can get it, the rain can get it, the birds can take seeds, whatever can take the seed. But eventually, if you keep planting the seeds, that there's a harvest that you will be rewarded with. And this is a life law. It's true in every area. There's also a negative harvest. The chickens do come home to roost in every area in our lives, but the negatives come home to roost much sooner than the positives do. And this is why most people are confused in their lives. They say to me, Ed, I've been doing all the right things in my nutrition and in my workout. Why isn't my body better? Or I've been working on myself for a while now. I'm reading the books, I'm listening to your podcast, and I don't see the results just yet in my life. And it's confusing because you say to yourself, I'm doing the right things in the moment, but you're still reading yesterday's headlines. And sometimes the positive headlines can be, like I said, a year, 18 months, 2 years. But I promise you, the headlines change eventually. Don't be confused by your current conditions. Remember this, your current conditions, your current life does not dictate your future. Your past does not equal your future. Your present does not equal your future. What equals your future are those deposits and those investments you're making now. There'll be an echo, there'll be a harvest. There is a consequence for every behavior in life. We need to accept this. There's negative consequences if we do the wrong things, no matter how good it looks right now. No matter how good your business, your finances, your relationship, your faith, your body looks right now. There are consequences if you slow down. There are consequences if you're not doing the right things. You are not immune to this. I've done a lot of podcasts or programs here on ego. If you begin to believe that you are immune from the echoes of life, you are immune from the positive and negative harvest, that's your ego speaking to you. Yes, Miss CEO. Yes, Miss Perfect. Yes, Mr. Successful financially right now. Yes, the guy with the high self-confidence. Even you will suffer from the echoes and the consequences of life. The good news is you control that. And if you'll do the right things on a habitual and regular basis, you're assured long-term of a positive harvest, of a positive result in your life. And so I want to remind you today that you're in control of this. If you're a person of faith like I am, you and your God praying, you planting the seeds and Him eventually blessing with the harvest. If you believe in plugging into the quantum field, and I believe in both of those things, by the way, and getting the energy from the universe that can drive you, I promise you there's a consequence and there's a reaction for every action. Just sometimes it comes in a delayed fashion. There will be an echo in your life. And my final question to you today is this. All of our actions echo into eternity. Long after we're gone, our lives also have an echo. Listen to me. Your life matters. What you do in your life matters. You were born to do something great with your life. You were put here for a reason, which is to make a difference in the world, which is to change your own family's tree, which is to do something great with your life. I promise you, you were put here for that, in little ways and in big ways. And there will be an echo for your life. The actions of your life will echo into eternity. The question is, will that echo for you be a whisper into eternity or a roar? And you get to decide based on the actions you take every day in your life, whether the life of you, whether it had a big meaning and it roars into eternity, or whether you play small and you just whisper into eternity. You get to choose that. I know you were born to have a roaring echo in this world long after you're here. The investments you make in your children and grandchildren, into other people, that's part of the roar of your life. Maybe it's not a jet or a beach house, but it's the good things you do. It's the seeds you sow of goodness and the contributions you make for others, the ripple into other people over and over again, far beyond what you can even imagine. That's your legacy, that's your life roaring its echo into eternity. But if you shrink, if you play small, if you don't take risks, if you don't take those actions, if you don't keep improving, you don't keep growing, then your life will just whisper into eternity, and you weren't put here to be a whisper. You were put here to be a roar into eternity. I know that for you. I'm 100% convinced of what I'm telling you here today. I believe in you, I love you, and I know you've got what it takes. Just remember this. Make the deposits, make the investments, plant the seeds. There'll be a harvest. It just is going to be delayed in God's time or in delayed time.